Good morning or afternoon, whenever you might be watching this back at home. Just want to pop in and say hi. Today we're going to be continuing learning about exponential functions, and specifically we're going to be looking at the asymptotes of the exponential functions. So that's that word I mentioned in that last video. If you didn't know, the P is silent, you do not pronounce it. Alright, so the horizontal asymptote is an invisible line that an exponential graph cannot touch or cross. It's usually at the x-axis, which is also known as y equals 0. So for instance, we can see this graph is exponential. As it goes up, it's kind of making that curved L shape, but it has this area down here where it's flattened. Okay, so if this graph were to continue, it would never cross the x-axis. So it creates this boundary for the graph that we call the asymptote. And the asymptote will also determine where the range is, because that's the lowest y will ever be. So I drew the dotted line here to represent what the asymptote is. Like I said, it's kind of like a boundary, okay? So where you see the graph is flattening out, that's its boundary. It can't go below it, it can't go any further. So we've looked at equations so far that are y equals a times b to the x. But the only difference here is that sometimes that asymptote can move. It's not always on the x-axis if you add or subtract a number on the end of the graph, and we're going to call that number k. Basically, whatever this line is at is going to be the k at the end of the equation. Adding or subtracting a number to a function will just shift the graph up or down. This means that the constant k will be the asymptote of the graph. If there is no k, like the ones that we've seen so far, then the asymptote is at y equals 0. Because if there's nothing, you assume it's 0. Okay, so we're going to be looking at that. If whatever number is added or subtracted on the end of the graph will determine where the boundary of that graph is, because it was moved up that many spaces or down that many spaces. So first we just want to get familiar with identifying a, b, and k in the equations. So a and b should be what you were used to in the last assignment, and now if we add or subtract a number on the end, that's going to be k, which is the asymptote. So here we know that we have a, b is in parentheses with next to the x, and then k is on the end. So a is 8, b is 0.5, and k, there is no number added or subtracted on the end, so it's automatically 0. Okay? For this one, a would be 6, b would be 2 next to the x, and k is the number on the end here, so k would be a positive 3. Same as the last time, you keep k, don't change that sign. All right, and for this last example, we have a would be 10, b would be 0.6, and k would be negative 5. I got to keep that negative with it. So using those same equations, we're going to be looking at the graphs and determining how we can make that connection between the equation and the graph, and how adding or subtracting a number is going to change what the graph looks like. So it says, sketch each graph and identify the key characteristics. If we were still in school, I'd be having you guys graph these by hand, but I did it for you, and what we're going to do is make some observations instead. So I noticed that I identified A, B, and K on the last slide, and then I'm going to use that to make a connection between the equation and the graph that's drawn. Okay, so A was 8, meaning that's where the table of values or the graph is going to start at. And then from 8, we're going to multiply by 0.5 continuously. Well, because b is a number that's less than 1, I know that the graph would be decreasing. So notice that this was a decimal, and this graph is decreasing, it's going down. There was no k here on the end, so that means I'm going to have my normal exponential function that has a boundary line that we call an asymptote at the x-axis. Okay, so those are my observations here. B is a decimal, the graph's going to go down. There is no k. So my y-intercept is just a. Nothing changes there. So my y-intercept is 8. My asymptote, that red line that popped up here, is y equals 0 because that's the x-axis. My domain is all real numbers, that does not change. And the range is the same thing as the asymptote, but it's not just saying that the range is only at 0. It's actually all of the y values the graph touches, which are all of the numbers above 0. So I take this equal sign, change it to a greater than sign. Okay? So we're going to try that with one of these. Notice that these two are a little bit different. One is moved up, one is moved down. So some observations. I know that A is 6, so that's where my value should start. From 6, I multiply by 2 repeatedly. If I multiply by 2, my numbers are going to get bigger and bigger, which means that this graph is going to keep going up. It's increasing. But I also notice that I have a K, so plus 3 means that the graph is going to shift up 3, okay? So I start at 6, but everything gets shifted up 3. So to find the y-intercept, actually, I have to take A plus K. So I would start at 6, and I got to go up 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. So my y-intercept is actually now 9. Okay. My asymptote, I drew that red line right there for you. It's where that graph is leveling off. This graph is leveling off at 3, which matches my equation that was shifted up 3. The domain is all real numbers, and the range, well, now I'm going to take this equal sign and make it a greater than sign. The range is all the values above the asymptote that was drawn, okay? So y equals 3 was the asymptote, so the range is y is greater than 3. And our last example here. So I'm going to make my observations about this equation and the graph. A is 10, meaning that my values would start at 10, and then they continuously are multiplied by 0.6, because B is 0.6. Now, because 0.6 is less than 1, that means that these values are going to be going down, and so my graph is going to be decreasing and going down. My K is -5, and that means that the whole graph should have been shifted down 5 spaces. So instead of the asymptote being at 0, it was shifted down to -5. All right, so now when I'm trying to figure out my y-intercept, well, A was 10, so normally it would start at 10, but because it was shifted down 5, I take 10 minus 5. So start at 10, shift down 5, we are now at +5. So that means my y-intercept is 0, 5. My asymptote is the red dotted line that was drawn right here. That's at -5 because of the -5 in the equation. The domain is all real numbers, and my range is just y is greater than -5 because the y values of this graph are all above -5, so it's any y value greater than -5. So in conclusion, what I want you guys to take away from this, you already knew what A times B to the x represented. A is your starting value, B tells you whether the graph is increasing or decreasing, and by how much. All we did was add on the fact that if you add or subtract a number, it's going to shift the graph up and down. It also tells you what the asymptote is. So remember, the asymptote is like an invisible boundary line that your graph can never cross. It always starts out at 0 if you don't have a number on the end, so the asymptote is always at y equals 0, also known as the x-axis. But if you add or subtract a number to your equation, that's going to move your graph up or down, and in return, that also makes the asymptote shift up or down.